Ciao everyone! This is a quick video to show you a different approach to character animation in Moho, one I've ended up using in more than one project, and I will show it to you on this character. His name is Parperius, is designed by Giovanni Costa, and is the main character of a comic book and a video game. To animate his run cycle, I decided not to use the classic bone rig approach, but instead to take advantage of what Moho offers through a mix of deformation and frame-by-frame layers, in a workflow that I would say is more cut-out-ish, I mean something you may find working with tools like Animate or Harmony. Okay, but why? When this approach shines? For example, when we have a few animation frames. So since this is a sprite animation, it needs to be stripped down to just a few frames, in my case 8, and this gave me more room to use frame-by-frame animation, which we know is less recyclable than bone animation. Then, not every part of the character moves the same way or with the same variability. So a mixed approach let me choose part by part the most suitable technique and get to the result faster. And finally, I simply like it. I'm not a big fan of hyper-complex rig, so this method tries to get the best of both worlds, meaning frame-by-frame animation and twin-based animation. First things first. I analyzed the artwork Giovanni sent me and I sketched out a very rough first pass animation, so I could ask myself a few questions. For example, the head needs to deform, but won't change all that much, so I go with point animation and I will use smart bones to simplify the timeline. For the arms and torso, I will go with a curve layer or some point animation. For the legs, here the differences from one frame to the other are too big, so deformation alone won't cut it. I will use the frame-by-frame layer. I'm planning to approach Moho's frame-by-frame layers with the same mindset I had when I used to work with symbols in Animate. I could have used switch layers instead, but the truth is that they are the same thing. One lays the layers out vertically and cycles through them, the other stacks them horizontally as frames on the timeline. Here we go. The third step is pretty standard, drawing and tracing the different parts on separate vector layers, being careful to create the correct shapes to make the following deformations work well. Next, I moved on to the deformers as smart bones for the heads, squash and stretch. Curve layers are a great way to animate and deform things that should bend. They look a lot like the curve deformer in ToonBoom Harmony, and they may work on multiple layers too, like I did here with the torso. So it's really a great way to bend things easily. For the head, since I already had a group, I converted into a bone, so I could create the smart bone and action for the squash and stretch. I won't go too much into details on how to set up an action and a smart bone. You'll find plenty of great tutorial in Moho official channel and around YouTube. You can also find something on my channel too. At this point, still using the initial rough animation as a guide, I drew the legs frame by frame, and here I worked with more freedom without worrying too much about clean shapes, since I wasn't going to deform these drawings. The final step is the actual animation, positioning and deforming the various pieces. In this case, with so few frames to handle, I didn't mind moving things by hand. On a more complex project, I would probably have helped myself with some bones or groups to move things together. But I find that this manual positioning creates just enough irregularity that in cases like this it can actually look interesting. If you're working with frame-by-frame or switch layers, I also recommend you to turn on the switch selection window, which is, by the way, very similar to the frame picker window in Adobe Animate or the drawing substitution window in ToonBoom Harmony. And that's it. I have used this approach for other animation in the same game or in other projects. Curious to know what you think. Let me know in the comments if you have any question or anything, and see you soon. Ciao ciao!